All right, hey everybody. Let me bring this DLC music down a little bit so you can hear us. All right, hey everybody, welcome back to another Anime4ALL podcast. This is the final week for My Hero Academia, as we all seen what this latest episode ended. I was not expecting the way they ended it, but we'll get to that in a minute. We hear a spear and magic helmet, as always. Repeat that again. Oh, great. Why? Okay, 1 minute. No, it's not you. It's obvious. It's obvious. I almost went. I almost went with like it's not you. It's me. uh, see, remove you. Add you back in because why the heck not? Try that again. Just to try that again. Okay, now they can hear you. All right, glad that I fixed that up before. I need to be looking at the audio mixer more. Yeah, but we're here for another review of these two episodes. Actually, I'm gonna throw in a bonus because, well, apparently you watched it, and I wasn't expecting you to watch it. Uh, we're gonna talk quickly. We're not reviewing it, but we're gonna talk quickly just about opening thoughts on Dragon Ball Daima, or whatever you want to call it, Dragon Ball Evil. I may try to splice in thoughts as they go further into the show. Maybe the next thought I throw in may be 5 episodes in or 10. Apparently, this anime is only going to be going for 20 episodes, so I'm not sure how fast we're going to go through this new Dragon Ball anime. Maybe there's new super stuff coming next year. Who knows? But apparently, this new show's only going for 20 episodes, so that's interesting. But the episode started typical Dragon Ball fare. They go through information we already know, so this is a good recap for anybody who hasn't watched Dragon Ball and is apparently watching Dragon Ball for the first time with this one. I don't know why you're doing that. You need to go back and watch the original. But
watch the original and then decide if you want to watch Daima at all.
Repeat that again?
Watch the original and then decide if you want to watch Daima at all.
Oh, that's true. But like Daima starts off with just typical Dragon Ball fanfare. We get a chance to go through something. You know, they remind us of all the stuff that Goku's done. At this point, it's not even clear where this is in the timeline because this is apparently a really big deal. It's a really weird. Dragon Ball is one of those shows that they make a new show, and immediately the first question people has is, "Where in the world is this in the timeline?" If we get further into the episode, we get confirmation from the looks of it. It looks like it's directly after what happened with the Buu saga. So there's no Beerus, no Whis, anything like that. Like Dragon Super Saiyan gods they don't exist at this point. This is good because like that means that the parascaling won't get screwy. That's a lot of people apparently didn't like what was going on with Super. I was fine with it to an extent, but you know it is what it is. But
Just completely fine with it. I really like Super.
I mean, a lot of people do, but apparently, so a lot of people had issues with parascaling. Again, I really don't. I didn't really know this thing going on with it, but also the other thing too, like this is gonna make you really feel old. I was not aware of when Dragon Ball Super the anime had ended. You can guess what year it was.
Super Nana.
The Super anime ended in 2018.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you probably fucked all your wrinkles just now, didn't you?
I just gained some new wrinkles.
Oh dear, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I just leaned into that. How old I am.
Oh dear, but yeah, it ended in 2018. We're just not getting a new Dragon Ball anything this year. This is crazy. But again, as a game, we're not reviewing this, just giving thoughts. It's interesting that a lot of information they decided to drop was this episode. Now with the whole idea that this anime is only going for 20 episodes, the fact they dropped information this episode tells me I guess we're not gonna get we're going to be getting more information later on, I'm guessing, but it's going to be all new because like so far we've gotten confirmation. Apparently, the Mechians are not only not from Earth, they're not from this dimension. But I thought it was crazy.
Well, that had some continuity from Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I know. I thought about that after it was happening. It's like, oh, maybe this is making that whole why they were called demons back in Dragon Ball make more sense now. Because that was
Right.
one thing Piccolo did. King Piccolo was called a demon, and he relished in that fact. And I always thought that was weird. Because then in Dragon Ball Z, that changed to them being Namekians, which always kind of felt weird to me. But at the same time, okay, he's an alien, whatever. Yeah, of course, nobody on Earth would know that he's an alien. But I always did figure it was kind of weird. It was such a really weird jump in logic. It was like, okay, you don't know what he is, but you're gonna call him a demon, and then he's gonna go with it. But okay, now we know they're from the demon realm. Like apparently, at least their ancestors are from the demon realm, and they somehow got out. I just don't know how, because there's only one Namekian that we are aware of that is still there, and he's old and senile. And apparently really freaking powerful. What do you think about that?
He's old and seen. Well, he's magical. Like all all of the old Namekians have a lot of powers. Guru had a lot of mystical powers, and Kami, Super Kami Guru. I'm sorry. Kami had a lot of magical powers that were kind of unusual, um, and stuff like that. So I think it makes sense to have this guy have a series of like really magical powers, especially if his specialty is Dragon Balls.
I'm sorry. Anybody who doesn't know why I'm laughing, go check out Dragon Ball Z Kai. You're gonna really love that.
It's good stuff.
I need an adult. I am an adult.
I am an adult.
That's super comic girl, dig it. But I don't know. I guess it makes sense, but it feels like an extreme to like say that this man, well, this Mechian, is so old. In fact, and it's clear that he's a part of the Dragon Clan because what he's been able to do so far. Um, but like the fact that he's capable of just gathering the Dragon Balls so freaking fast, like it made what Bulma did back in Dragon Ball like seem like child's play. Like it just like he can just sense them, and it's so weird because like none of the other Mechians so far that we've been introduced to, not even, I don't even think Guru could sense the Dragon Balls. At least he didn't display that. That's possible he could have, and he just never displayed that ability. But or even Kami, because I don't think Kami even knew what Dragon Balls were. Did he? I don't
Kami?
even. Yeah, Kami.
Kami knew what the Dragon Balls were. He made them.
No, he didn't know where they were. Like every time they get used, they just split off into different directions. I don't think he knew their locations. Again, unless he knew that he had that ability, he never displayed it. This could be a situation of like continuity where like they had this ability, they just didn't need to use it, or they didn't want to use it. It's like it would really help if we knew if they knew that if they had that ability. At least that would make what he would never, I think his name is, make more sense. And on top of that, he re-woke them up, and then like this has turned into a semi review. I'm so sorry, but
It's okay.
um, but yeah, it's just like everything was. I liked the episode, and I'm actually very excited. With the way it ended, I'm very excited to see where they go. Cause like, well, now we have something we never had before, which was a kid Vegeta. Vegeta as a kid. We've never had that. Like, I mean, we've seen him in flashbacks, but we've never seen what he was like. A lot of people are assuming that I guess they're gonna revert back to their mindset too when they go back when they were a kid. I'm guessing that makes sense. If that's what's gonna happen, I don't know.
Are you sure?
I don't know. Some people are saying I don't know. I really don't know. Some people are
How
saying
would,
that.
how would the people that are saying it know?
Hmm? Oh, I don't
How would
know.
the people that were saying it know?
I don't know. I think that's what they're assuming. Again, I don't think this is confirmed. We won't really know till next Saturday. If that is like what happened to them, is that they got. I mean, the wish was very specific because Shinron likes to be really specific, and they really show you that here in this episode too. He asks varying questions, just like Turn them back into younger when they were younger. Like, how old you talking? Like, you're very picky. Like, how about first grade? What about if they're already kids? Dang it, make them babies. I was like, I'm talking. I'm also look reading that message, the reading his like wish very specifically. He only said to turn them back into younger. He's assuming that they're going to be easier to take down when they're kids. Like, and based on some images I've already seen online or animations I've already seen because they like to show off what they're doing. Goku still got access to Super Saiyan. Now, whether if he's gonna have to relearn how to transform or not, it remains to be seen. But like, there's a little bit of a running around of a Super Saiyan Chibi Goku running around. So like, he still got access to Super Saiyan at the very least. Some people are saying they're expecting like a Gohan when like, because Gohan's mentioned in the show, and like we're gonna see Gohan back when he was 5 years old, back when we were growing up with him. Me specifically growing up with Gohan back then, like when he was younger, and he had those outbursts. I probably really doesn't want his mindset to go back to that point because he was kind of annoying. I probably wants me to have his mature mindset in that body because like all that overflowing power would be awesome for him to have.
It'd be
Certainly, he
so
doesn't.
annoying.
Hmm?
Other characters too would be really annoying, like Oolong going back to his early mentality when he was like kind of a bad guy. Tien as a kid was arrogant and kind of a dick.
Well, only the people like. Well, he only wished for the people who were involved in fighting. Well, no, they said they're friends. So never mind.
Yeah, and their friends. Bulma was really annoying. So I hope they keep their adult mindsets.
I mean, we'll see. I get. Oh, I mean, like again, I guess I'm only saying this right now because I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. Again, I don't think we'll be doing this. At least I won't be doing this every week in terms of talk what the episode came out. If something happens, I will definitely want to talk about it. But it's like we don't need to. Um, Time is going to be short from my understanding anyway. So it's like, yeah, it is what it is. Um, I guess with that we can talk about the finale to My Hero Academia. Um, this was like I guess to start off, this episode was very well. We got a good image here. Like this episode started off very heartfelt, specifically between Toga and Uraraka, who apparently was still bleeding out last we ended the last episode, which I was very concerned about, and I spent pretty much the very beginning of this episode wondering and very concerned if Uraraka was gonna die. I was gonna be very upset if she did. Um, and they had Toga do something unexpected and showcase yet again another character, in Toka Himiko, who probably could have had a different path if only they had met the right person. Um, it's interesting to see that, like, Toga ends up saving Uraraka by giving her a blood transfusion from herself. I think I said that correctly, but like Toga,
I thought it was clever that she turned into Uraraka so that she'd share the same blood type.
I mean, which again shows that Toga's power is very intricate. Um, they even bring up that Toga had a blood transfusion happen from uh Bubiguara twice. Apparently, I completely forgot about that. When I was reminded, I was like, "Oh, that's right. She nearly did die earlier, didn't she?" Um, yeah, Toga decides to save Uraraka, but she kind of phrases it in an interesting way that kind of makes a lot of sense. Uraraka's a hero. She's gonna chase her down and put her in jail. She don't want like, but Uraraka's gotta do that. But in Toga's a villain, she's gonna not want to go to jail, and she's gonna want to run and be free. So the best of both worlds is saving somebody that Toga finds precious, and that's in Uraraka, and kills herself. I'm guessing is what she does because she gives her all her blood, is what she says. That might be a mistranslation for all we know. I guess we'll have to wait until I guess we find out whenever that is. But like again,
Yeah,
yeah.
it does make it sound like Toga's gonna die.
But again, it was one of those things, like, I just felt really freaking bad. Like again, they made. Again, I was like, I know Augusta Rock, and I really didn't get a chance to really say much about Toga last episode. I realized it after everything had ended, but I always remember saying that Toga was just a weird character, in my opinion, because I could never really get too much of a grasp on how I ultimately felt about her, or or what she was like, or what's going on in her brain, because she seemed to be the one character who you could never really get into her brain too much, mainly because she wouldn't let you. But um, finding out how she thought and like what her thoughts were and everything like that was actually really nice, and I felt really bad for her. And then like showing that her blood, her ability, her quirk wasn't really evil. It was because the way it manifested just seemed really creepy to a lot of people. She had nobody. She like, I mean, it took Oraka here, like, to reach out to her finally after all this time to get her to think maybe if she had met Oraka or somebody like her early on in her life, maybe she would have turned out differently. And then she does this whole blood transfusion thing, and I was like, oh wow, she's a walking blood bank. Like a literal walking blood bank. If someone's dying and losing blood or whatever, she can take your blood and then turn it into you. You can just transfuse blood yourself.
It made me sad though because it showed that she could have used her powers for good.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately what I like about this particular her going out. If that's how what happened here, is she died, was that like her quirk, while it on the outset manifested creepily, it really wasn't creepy. I want to say, I think what I want to say is like, I mean, this is corny, but I'm going to say it regardless. I had one word to sum up Toga, and it made a lot of sense for me. Compassion. She didn't have it, and she wasn't able to give it, but someone gave it to her at the end, at the end of her life. I guess in her life, I don't know. Again, I don't know if she's dead or not, but yeah, I really felt I really felt sad. I really that entire her entire talk with Toga. I mean, Toga's entire chat with Uraraka, which was her monologuing again for the very first time when we get a chance to peer into her brain, how she was thinking. Like, it was to me, it was like one of the most like eye opening things in my like. It was kind of like how eye opening it was when Dabi had his revelation back when he was burning out, literally. But
Oh my god! Why do
sorry.
you do this? Why do you do this to yourself and the world?
Listen, I'm a gift. Sorry, anybody who just walked out, please come back. I don't believe that.
We're gonna lose that guy from Brazil if you keep this up.
I think we already lost that guy from Brazil. You try to bring him back, he's not coming back. We need to talk about your obsession with this person.
Side note: hi in the Nature Avenger if you're still there.
I may not be asleep by
He said
now.
hi to us, but we missed it.
I know. I think he might actually be in bed now.
That's
Yeah.
How can you tell on Twitch?
Oh, I mean, I look for, well, I use OBS, but I have users in chat. Probably something down there below chat you can check to see who's in there. But
There's a list of users that are on the stream.
But but yeah, like how everything kind of just coalesced with Uraraka and Uraraka not wanting Toga to do that and tried to stop her, but of course it wasn't gonna work. And then Toga breaks one of the needles on her syringe thing and then sews up the stab wound and then apologizes. Which is another thing that caught me off guard. I'm like, she literally pretty much gave blood to somebody that she saw as a friend. And again, as you said before, really sad considering that we got a chance to see her quirk be useful for something. And that's not something I would have immediately thought that her quirk would have been useful for. It makes sense that it would have been useful that way. I never thought about it though. We didn't have a character lose a lot of blood up to this point, so Toga, like, well, Toga, her quirk is useful. It's like, again, she is a walking blood bank, and in reality, she can literally duplicate blood and put it into a bank reserve for people. She could really be in the medical profession because like her quirk is useful in that regard. But because of how she grew up and the people she interacted with, she didn't meet somebody who even tried to be her friend, unfortunately. And then when she meets somebody, she meets twice, and then twice gets killed. You know, then that whole thing, and twice gave her blood. and Twice being a good guy, which gets confirmed again by Hawks. But I remember correctly, when Hawks was killing Twice, he was having reservations about doing it in the first place. He only did it because Twice was a problem, which gets showcased here too. It's like if Twice had been still around, like Twice's ability to make multiples of himself would have been a problem.
Are we going to ignore the fact that when she goes back to when the blood runs out, then theoretically the blood inside would revert or disappear?
Blood Insight where?
When she when Toga when Toga runs out of blood, when the blood goes away from her, as she put it, then she reverts back to her normal form, right? So wouldn't the blood that she donated revert back to the normal form when the power is gone too?
No, I don't think. Basically, Toga explained to her when her body turns into that person. I'm guessing the blood doesn't really follow that kind of like logic. I'm guessing
Why not?
because it's her blood. Maybe there's some like special role or something like that that her body has. Because I mean, for the most part, whenever like anytime she would have had different type of blood, for the most part, she's never giving it to anybody. First of all, and then two, she's usually ingesting blood. I don't know if we ever seen like what role her quirk would follow if she was giving out blood, because she's never done that before. I think she even says that here, that she's never given out blood. I don't think that would be the case, and maybe what's really going on here, if that is the rule that she follows, that it will disappear on her, maybe it's just long enough for maybe she'll be transfused long enough for like some hero to get to her to bring her to a hospital. 'Cause I suspect that she's only gonna be hooked up long enough to be able to keep Uraraka alive long enough for some professional to come and get her. I mean, I don't know why it would revert back to normal, because it's inside of Uraraka at that point, and her blood would have mixed in with Uraraka's blood and made more.
Made more blood?
I would have feel like, I mean, isn't the whole point of a transfusion is to make it so that your body is able to recover and is able to make more of its own cells and whatnot? Because you just don't like, because in real life, when you transfuse blood, you transfuse a certain amount, but then after that, the person's good because the body is, at that point, rebooting itself. I think that's how I understand. I'm probably misunderstanding how blood works. But that's my understanding for it. Like, isn't that because you don't keep somebody hooked to a transfusion machine for the rest of their life, unless they have like a blood disease or something like that. Even they're not really hooked up to the machine for transfusion their entire life.
I know they're not hooked up to the machine. I don't know. Like it still made me think that like her blood type. It was really clever of her to turn into Uraraka so that she could give her blood. But I think after that, it's just the anime like kind of
Well, I mean,
suspending.
here's the thing. Somebody did bring up that maybe Toga's a universal donor. So maybe it won't matter if her blood turns back into Toga's blood or whatever. It shouldn't. Uraraka shouldn't have like a rejection. But again, my thought is that maybe, just maybe, she's just transfusing her long enough for somebody to get to her to help her.
I guess so.
I don't know anything about Toga's blood type.
If she's giving all of her blood to Toga, I mean, this also doesn't mention that like any internal bleeding from the knife wound that she inflicted is like also going to continue on. She just sewed up the skin on the outside. Like she's got I mean, Toga's got like, I'm sorry, Uraraka has intestines like ripped up and everything on the inside. So the whole healing process is kind of like you gotta like not think about it too much for it to be a good scene.
You thinking about it too much. I I mean,
The more you think about it, the less sense the whole healing makes.
it's not even really like she's healing. She's just trying to keep her alive long enough. It'd be different if she was actually like, trying to heal her. Again, that transfusion, I think, is just trying to keep her alive long enough because Uraraka already lost a lot of blood as it is. Uraraka would pretty much be
Where did she
dead.
get the thread? Where did she get the thread for the stitches? We know she got the needle from like breaking off one of her like little syringe things, but like where did she get the thread?
Probably from the messed up costume? I would think. Hold up.
See, the more you think about it, and that broken needle like doesn't really work for like sewing. It's a sharp thing, but it doesn't really work for sewing.
You can still thread a thing through it. I don't think you need an actual sewing needle for that. If you're good enough with it and whatnot.
If you say so, dude. The more you think about it, the less sense it makes.
It's not like you just want Uraraka to die. I take offense to that.
No, I don't want Araka to die. I just think that the way they painted this doesn't make a lot of sense. I want it to be a cool scene, but it's like
Man, if you think about it, she's actually healing her. I don't think that's what's happening. I don't think Toga's healing. I think she's just trying to keep her alive. Nothing about what Toga did was like healing. Like nothing about what she did. She just wanted to keep her alive because she didn't want her to die. At the best, like all she did was like provide like very crappy first aid. I mean, yeah, stitching that wound together is not going to do more than just keep the blood from like getting out of her, which is probably better. I mean, I guess internal bleeding isn't any better, but it's like I don't know if I don't think Iraqi was even really bleeding that bad. She like most of the blood that she bled out was up in the air when Toga stabbed her from above. And also the blood that Uraraka vomited up too, but you know, she only did that once. After that, she was just vomiting profusely because she was using her quirk too much. I guess another thing we can talk about, like, Uraraka's still bringing people down and she's on the ground bleeding. I had never thought about. They brought up something interesting I never thought about, and I guess it's you know it's picky. You can be picky with this little phrase, but like Toga brought up like she never really hurts anybody off her quirk. Um, she'll toss somebody over her shoulder if necessary, but for the most part, Uraraka usually just grabs you and then you start floating forever until she lets you down. In like in a very rare instance, she actually used gravity to hurt you. I've noticed really here. And on top of that, like, lifting people up and stuff like that, as I said last week, I think honestly that's probably what happened to wake her quirk up. What she did there, she really needed to be able to reach people and then lift them up, I'm guessing. As I said, I even said last week, I was like, I'm probably reaching here. I probably still think I'm reaching. But like, sometimes I'm kind of curious, well, like, how does an awakening work in this world? Sometimes, like, it takes you using your quirk enough to its limit, but like, I don't know, Uraraka used her quirk to her limit before it woke up.
I don't think so either.
So I'm just trying to think. Is like I feel like to me, it's like I think her quirk woke up under different circumstances, and I feel like her needing to be able to lift people up and keep all the twices from like falling down was enough of a situation where her quirk was just like, okay, she needs to be able to do this. Let's do it, basically. But I don't know what circumstances like quirks do that, because like it's like with Bakugo's quirk's second awakening. What's what I'm gonna call it? The first awakening was the cluster thing. What he did afterwards was something else. But I guess with that we talk about really quick, because like they decided to blue ball us. All Might, oh correction, Armored All Might versus One for All.
All mech.
I hate you.
You hate me because it sounds good.
I hate you. so much because I've heard Iron Might. I've gone with Batmite because of like how very similar that is to the Batman suit, like old man Batman versus Superman,
Uh-huh.
and Iron Man obviously. Um, but then all mech I hate you.
It almost sounds like Olmec.
Yeah, I know that's another thing I noticed too. But this just I guess we can talk about this in general because I mean not much is like All Might is obviously trying to hold All for One from getting to Shigaraki, but apparently All for One knows this and he thinks he can still fight him and take off the trash, quote unquote, because he thinks he has enough time for it. And I was just like, do you really think you have enough time for this? Really? Like how far are you from your predecessor over there? But so I guess another thing too, interesting little bit of information that they decided to divulge here and drop is All Might remembers what Sir Night-Eye told him about him dying to a villain. And then I sat here like, oh my god, I completely forgot about Sir Night-Eye. And then his whole premonition about All Might dying. Like, this could actually be it. This
I
could
forgot about it too.
this could literally be the moment he's supposed to die in. Because I think I forgot about it because I thought maybe they diverted the future, but that doesn't mean anything. Like because he didn't die there. So I was like, I guess like it could be one of those things where like, and on top of that too, what also feeds me. You remember when I asked the question? I think I asked off screen or whatever. Like, would All Might go into the One for All vortex? Like, if he dies? Because like at the end of the episode, we have a scene where but All Might's laughing and whatnot and preparing for a all-out clash with All for One. And he's connected somehow to Deku, and Deku's able to see the All Might's fighting through the vestige that he has a piece of himself in there with, as it is. Like there's a piece of him already in One for All as it is.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to wonder if like what I had asked may actually be coming to fruition. Like maybe All Might really won't die. He'll just like he'll lose his body, but his consciousness will just end up in One for All, for what that's worth. But then also someone brought up an interesting question too about all that. They brought up like, okay, if All Might dies and he goes into One for All, what does that offer Deku? And I'm just thinking like that doesn't. All Might doesn't have a court. What would he offer Deku while inside in the Vestures world? I can't imagine he'd be offering too much.
No, not without a quirk. Advice, I guess.
But all these questions kind of get brought up now because, like, I mean, if All Might does die here, they were really making it look like it, because I mean, throughout his entire fight with All for One, which I will be bouncing back and forth, I loved all the quirks he incorporated that we've seen so far with his students inside the armor. I also love that All Might seems to have like forgone his whole anti-support item thing because he needed to use it here to be able to fight in the first place. Even though it's clear that it's like this is a one and done thing. Like once he's done here, he's done. And I was like, man, this is ridiculous. This fight is this is amazing. Like him fighting the origin of One for All with no quirk, and then we get a chance to see what he was like when he was younger when he met Nana Shimura, who I love that Nana wasn't taking any of his crap. He wanted to train with her so bad, and she was just saying no. I love that she didn't like see any potential in him at first and whatnot. I love that, like, it was almost serious, like, it was kind of mirroring Deku a little bit when All Might met Deku and whatnot.
Yeah, a little bit. Although All Might probably remembered that scene when Deku talked to him and it meant something extra for him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I mean, we saw that scene again, like, but it was one of those, I just like, but it was like there was so many mirrors, and I love that this. Again, this was for me very emotional and really weird because like with the knowledge that we know the next season is the end. I'm like, man, the start of the podcast is coming to an end. And I knew this was gonna happen, but boy, was I not prepared for it.
We This is the one that started the podcast? I thought it was Dragon Ball Super.
Well, maybe this is the one that gave it its name. Because I
Yeah,
feel like I
maybe.
named it Anime4ALL, didn't I, before? Or maybe I changed the name at some point. I do remember us reviewing Dragon Ball, but I don't remember if that came first or not.
You didn't always have a little logo for it.
Well, I don't have a name. That logo came this season. But I don't know if I had the name for it, because I'm pretty sure I named the podcast. Well, it is what it is, but this the anime that had a pretty much a influence on the podcast in some way. But interesting timing for this song to pop up. This was not on purpose. But yeah, that the fight with All Might and All Might like going in there, even though like he's obviously at a disadvantage because he has no quirk, but it's also an advantage because like All for One's like what he's doing is only is only a good thing if you have a quirk, but All Might's looking at it a different way. Like All for One would take advantage of you and then take your quirk from you and then ruin your life. It's like All Might has nothing to lose, only his life. And it seems like All Might doesn't seem too worried about that right now. Like him smiling and not getting under All for One's skin was actually pretty funny.
He was absolutely getting under All for One's skin.
That makes sense though. I mean, this is the one guy he's never been able to beat. This is the one dude who's put him in a ventilator. Like, I mean, everything that has bad happened to him ever since has been All Might's fault, you know. And he it's obvious that he would have a. I just didn't think he would have this much of a problem with All Might. This is impressive. It's like All Might's not really doing much of anything but trying to waste time, even though apparently All for One claims that he knows this. But it's one of those like it's an amazing like back and forth with these two. Even without a quirk, All Might's still giving him problems.
He's got some pretty good support tech there.
Yeah, unfortunately, they won't last forever. And apparently, this support tech was made by that girl from the first movie in America. So, like that's also an impressive connection. I like that he did that. I think that's the daughter, the blonde-haired girl we saw. I think it's the daughter of his sidekick that died at some point. If I remember that correctly.
He looks at like Doc Ock at one point.
The All Might?
And all his armor and stuff. Yeah, if you get around like I don't know 2042, where All Might's saying Class A, lend me your strength.
Oh, sure, I didn't see Gravity in there. I thought I was like wondering because I was watching people react to this, but I did not remember Gravity being a part of like the. So the Gravity is in the thrusters. Oh shoot. I thought he looked more like a monster, but I guess Doc Ock is actually more appropriate.
Well, he's got like all the tentacles coming out.
Oh, there's Tailman's quirk right there. I guess the bird things are Coda's quirk. Like All Might's giving it his all, and he's just laughing, and the laughing is getting on All for One's nerves apparently.
I didn't get how does your Ravity's quirk play into this?
I think it's in the thrusters. It's probably going to allow him to. It's going to probably allow him like some like movement opportunity. I'm guessing. I suspect it's going to be a one time. It's going to be a one and done thing. He might be able to change direction immediately one time. I suspect.
Is it just inspired by her, or is it somehow infused with her quirk?
No, I don't think none of this is infused with the quirks. It's just inspired tech.
Okay.
Like none of these things are like anytime he's saying a name of an ability, it's just an inspired technological development apparently.
Oh, okay.
Like their quirks are not infused. I mean, unless they come back later and tell us that that's not the case. That during that moment when All Might was having a monologue of himself in Class 1A's dorm, he had asked them all to give a piece of their abilities to him. Like that's none of it. Like even Black Whip, when he used Black Whip, that wasn't really a Black Whip. That was just a piece of like, I want to say like some really indestructible like material that he used.
Yeah.
All this is just tech that I guess he must have built. Um, he must have built like at some point because he had a freaking suitcase that turned into a gauntlet. Again, like he's very inspired by a lot of heroes in our comics. I mean, again, if people don't know it, I hope by now that it's very clear that My Hero Academia has some inspirations from like American comic books. Like, I hope it's clear now that people did not get this far and didn't realize it.
Mm.
Like, I don't know how you got this far and didn't realize it, but you know, I hope it's clear now. I mean, Armored All Might versus All for One is a clear inspiration between the Russian Superman and the Old Man Batman. I believe is when Old Man Batman was around, because the Old Man Batman needed to put on an armored suit to fight Superman. But yeah, this fight was really good. I hate that pretty much we get to this image we see right here, the still image, and then they cut the episode.
You know what I liked though? I liked how they went through and showed all. After that, they showed all the heroes that were down. You see Mr. Icy Hot down on like laying on the frost. You see Uraraka being cradled by what's her name?
Toga.
Toga. Thank you. You see Froppy. You see. This is bad for someone that can't think fast when it comes to names.
Oh,
you see Earphone Jack. You see Grape. What is the name of the bird guy?
Tsukiyami.
Tsukiyami. You see Red Riot. Acid Girl. And then you see a few guys that are still up.
This is really bad. I think I've been referring to her as Acid Girl because of you. This entire freaking show. Her hero name is Pinky.
Her hero name is Pinky?
Yeah, her hero name is Pinky.
But then you see a set of heroes that are still standing, and like, I mean, we don't know how injured Invisible Girl is, but everybody looks pretty beat up. But the ones that are still standing are also generally like lesser heroes. Not like the great ones. Except for Crady. Crady is, I think, probably one of the stronger ones.
I think also Cellophane, I think is what his name is, the guy with the tape arms. He's pretty good.
He's pretty good, but I wouldn't put him at top tier.
I think he has potential. Oh yeah, Charge Bolt. That caught me off guard that he All Might use Charge Bolt and Black Whip at the same time. That was interesting. I was like that Charge Bolt's like watching as like episode for his ends. We see a swirling vortex where Shigaraki and Deku are fighting. That's been happening the entire time. Like I didn't realize that's what it looked like from above, but I guess I should have realized that's what it looked like from above.
Yeah.
This is really bad imagery considering Florida got hit with a hurricane twice.
Florida got smoked.
But another thing too, oh man, I guess the last thing I want to say, like, I mean, they even go through the whole process of like, I know I said this before about him like going against his whole no support item thing, but like I do love that he apparently didn't hold on to that role for too much longer. Like at some point, because like I mean, he literally gave into it and got a full armored suit. Called his car's AI Hercules.
That's a good name for that car. So far, it's been pretty on brand.
I think it's funny that he did that though.
Yeah.
And Deku's just like in a tussle for power. And then here's the thing: this image right here, like we haven't seen this particular thing in a while. I remember when we first saw it, I was very confused who the heck that was, and then we came to the conclusion that was All Might. I mean, they're just not even pretending that's not who it is anymore, though. Because you go right into the eye, and we see All Might, and Deku was able to tell that he's fighting. But it's interesting that All Might's still entangled with One for All, like enough for Deku to know that he's fighting. That's actually interesting that he's actually entangled enough with One for All still that All Might can tell that All Might can, I guess, send a message to Deku that he's fighting.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of weird. But this is what makes me think maybe. I mean, it would make sense at this point, right? If he just died and he went right into One for All. Like his last training would be to help Deku defeat Shigaraki, I guess. And if One for All somehow still survives this fight, which I mean, I don't even know. This is a crazy look for All Might, though. Like, good gracious. From the giant, standing tall, 6-foot man with like bulging muscles to Jack the Ripper. Yeah, I said that. We're just gonna move on.
Yeah, I was wondering if you said that or not. I was checking my notes.
He's like Deku is just like, geez, hold on. Meanwhile, oh dear, I thought Shigaraki's tongue was already out. No, he licks his lips. Ugh. Get some chapstick, man. Jeez.
It's a good fight. Any fight that All Might has is a pretty good fight.
I think he's only had 3 fights in total.
At least 4.
Like really big fights, instrumental fights.
He had the fight in episode 1 with the slime monster.
Was that instrumental? I guess it was.
It was an important fight for the moment. Because it saves Deku's life and everything.
Okay, that's true.
And then there's the fight against the Nomu.
I can forget about the Nomu. I keep bringing up the Nomu we haven't seen in forever. Where's that Nomu, by the way?
And then there's All for One twice. So that's 4 fights.
Also, the music from the last 2 All for One fights that he had, like that was some really good music that he had playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, they end this fight with this image. At least I think this is where they end this fight, right? With those 2 fighting their respective villains at the same time. Yep, that's where they ended. And that is where we have to wait till next year. I don't know when, but next year. And we know this is the next season's next year because you see this scene at the end of it where there's a damaged UA building. I didn't realize. I thought this was an All Might poster, but apparently other people have been saying that that's the card that Deku, I mean not Deku, but Bakugo was holding on to before he went on his backside. Just that makes a lot more sense. But that makes me wonder what's going on with Bakugo. Like that's obviously a sign of like what's going on with Bakugo right now.
Yeah. What are you saying? Are you suggesting there's a hint there that Bakugo?
People are saying this is referring to Bakugo. What they mean by that, I don't know. I mean, it would be covered in blood after he got stabbed, so that makes a lot of sense why there's a lot of blood over it. Because he was holding on to it before he got stabbed. I would say like maybe it was like where he got stabbed was where that All Might card was, but no, there's no hole through it, so that would be impeccable though. That's where he was holding on to the All Might card. Like once this fight's over, we're gonna get it signed by All Might himself. Oh no, I'm losing a lot of blood. Oh, I'm losing a lot of blood. I'm losing consciousness. Oh, I'm going out.
Yeah, see ya.
And I guess with that is the end of season 7. What a season. Lots of ups and downs. For some people, lots of downs. But, for me, a lot of ups and downs. Very excited to see how this, gets resolved. Most of most of the conflicts we started with this season have been resolved. Right now, the only conflicts that I'm well aware of that we have to deal with right now is pretty much All for One and Shigaraki. And since Shigaraki might be a little bit more of a difficult obstacle to overcome right now. I wonder, like, if All for One's holding on to Shigaraki somehow, and if All for One were killed, would that release Shigaraki?
Release it from what?
I mean, release him from whatever control All for One obviously has a hold on him.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that works.
I'm not sure how in the world he got into Shigaraki's brain to begin with. We don't ask questions about that either.
Yeah.
But I guess with that, we're gonna move on to the next episode, the next anime we'll be reviewing that will become our main anime as of next week.
Ruroni Kenshin.
I want to confirm something. Apparently, I misunderstood the release day. Apparently, I think it's every Thursday when Ruroni Kenshin comes out. But that was nowhere online, and I happened to find out that Ruroni Kenshin aired on a Thursday. So I was like, I was not aware of that. Wait, where is it? Come on, watch list. The money other shows I'm watching. You don't have to comment on any of them. Where the heck is it? Well, I guess I'll just type.
Here, have a link in Discord.
I got it. Let's see, episode 26 on the EC road. I want to say this entire episode confirmed my thought process on her, the girl that we saw in the ending scene, Misao. I think it's how they pronounce her name, Misao. Yeah, she has a connection to Aoshi, who actually makes an appearance in this episode. Ironically, wasn't expecting him to be here. I have expected him to go after Kenshin, who was in Kyoto by this point, but he shows no interest in going after him. He's gonna wait for him to show back up at the dojo, unless this episode kind of like encapsulates a lot of things that are happening within the Ruroni Kenshin world, season 2. Yep, we already had Crunchyroll there. Thank you. But let's see here. Let's start off. What? Oh, I guess I would kind of start off the episode to review appropriately then. Very beginning of the episode, we have Megumi, who apparently Karu left in charge of the dojo. Apparently Megumi was wondering what she was doing there. I was like, yeah, that's weird. You decided to watch over the dojo? And she was okay with that? Okay. Megumi walks in, finds out that the front door is unlocked. I was like, who the heck could be here at this time of night? And who? Like, no one else is there. Walks in, and the killer is standing in the middle of the dojo with his giant sword, wondering where Kenshin is. I thought that was intriguing. I don't even know how he got in, because he apparently opened the door. As far as I know, he didn't have a key or anything, so I don't know how you would get into a locked premises back in Japan during that day. You have an idea?
Magic. It doesn't make sense. They don't explain it in the anime, and there's no like, unless it's like magic or some ninja magic or something like that. There's no good explanation for it possible.
But he's in there, and then Megumi falls to her knees, afraid, because the last time she was in the same room with this dude, he nearly tried to kill her, literally. And he's like asking her where Kenshin is, and he's like, "You're not gonna tell me, I'll kill you." And then good old Saito apparently shows up at the right time, nick of time, to tell him that Kenshin's not here. He's over in Kyoto. And then he's like, "Also, Kenshin's not here. I'll come back when he's back. I'll come back when he's here then," which is not what I was expecting him to say. I had expected him to chase him down, but apparently, nope. He's not that kind of Vegeta, apparently. But essentially, I think Saito tries to like coax him into being curious, I'm guessing, but it doesn't work still, and then, you know, he just goes off into the woods. And then, like, Megumi has her issues with Saito telling him, like, he's like, I guess Saito thought he wasn't gonna be all that curious to begin with, I'm guessing. Apparently Saito even knows about him too, which is even crazier to me, because, like, I mean, if the guy went off into the mountaintops to train, you think nobody would know of him for a while until he comes out. I'm guessing he just I guess he just has a lot of, like, you know, leads that he can follow to find people. I guess speaking of Saito, it's really weird that he went to Kenshin, invited him. I didn't say anything about it at the time because I completely forgot to. But in the first episode, Saito is like following Kenshin and then suggests Kenshin get on a train, you know, with him to go straight to Shishio, right? But then Kenshin's like, no, I don't like you, so, and I'm gonna walk on my own. Only for us to find out later on Kenshin's real issues that he's trying to keep, you know, as many people away from him so they don't have because he doesn't have any casualties or whatever like that. He's going alone, which is why he left everybody. But here's the weird thing: Saito should know that Kenshin doesn't like him. Like, what if he was intentionally trying to get Kenshin to take the long way? Because Saito's everywhere else but following Kenshin right now. We know he can follow him. There's no reason why he couldn't keep up with him. But he's not following him. And then Saito goes out of his way to tell Sanosuke, Yahiko, maybe Kara at some point, I don't know, about where Kenshin's whereabouts are, and then goats Sanosuke into telling him he's too weak. What does any of that do? If I was Saito and I really wanted Kenshin to take the train, I wouldn't go up there and intentionally invite him onto the train because I know he hates me. Like, wouldn't you? Like, it's like, am I on the wrong track here?
No pun intended.
But I'm.
Get it? On the wrong
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. But, like,
you track my joke?
You know what, dude? Get another train. Get out of here.
If my joke's not funny, maybe I need more comedic training.
I hate you so much. But no, say, like, I'm not wrong, right? Like, all this seems purposeful, considering that Saito is back in Tokyo right now. Doing all of this, he talked to Sanosuke, got him on the road, and now, like, because of Yahiko like got Karu on the road with Megumi, because Megumi managed to get involved there, and then Saito just shows up at the right time to save Megumi. Like, that's all too convenient. Am I wrong?
What is he doing in that dojo at that point?
What, Ayoshi?
Yeah.
He was there trying to look for Kenshin. He didn't know where he was.
Sanosuke.
Sanosuke was nowhere near there.
Who is the other guy in the dojo, the one that saved her?
Saito.
Saito, thank you. What is Saito even doing in the dojo?
He came there to save Megumi. Because apparently he knew Ayoshi was there.
How on earth would he know that Ayoshi was there?
I don't know. That's what I've been asking this entire time. Everything that Saito has been doing doesn't make any sense.
Not at all.
That's what I'm saying. It all started. I guess you weren't listening to me. I'm going to start over again.
Oh, no.
Last episode, what Saito did to Kenshin made no sense. He literally invited Kenshin onto a train to get to Shishio really fast. But Kenshin doesn't like him. Not one bit. Like, we know this since last episode. I mean, last season. We know he doesn't like him. Why would Saito, whatever his name is, follow him all the way up to where the town was, telling him, let's get on a train together and get up to Shishio really fast? Only because he's got to know that Kenshin doesn't like him, right? Because that would force Kenshin to not want to be anywhere near him. If Kenshin was thinking about using the train, which I don't know if he was or not. If he wasn't, if he was, that changed his mind immediately. But and got Kenshin on the road to walk to Shishio. Like that literally got Kenshin to not get on a train and just keep wandering by himself. Almost like Saito wanted that to happen. It's kind of the same thing with Saito's interaction with Sanosuke. Like, why bother even trying to tell him how weak he is or something like that? Because he knows Sanosuke's going to go after him. Or maybe Sanosuke wasn't, and Sanosuke was just going to keep wallowing in his own self-pity. The things that Saito has been doing don't really track with what if he's trying to literally keep them away from Kenshin. Everything he's been doing seems to be pushing people in that direction.
Right.
Everything he's been doing doesn't make any sense to if his real goal is to prevent people. Because even if he thinks Sanosuke is weak, I mean, proven, because apparently, I mean, he wasn't expecting Sanosuke to break his hand or whatever like that as he was grabbing a cigarette. But it's just one of those things. Even like following Yayako, who Yayako wasn't able to tell that Saito had been following him again, which is even creepier to me. We're gonna just ignore that. But yeah, again, I was like saying, like I did the same thing about this last week, and I probably should have, because it's that whole interaction didn't make any sense. Why bother fighting Sanosuke? But like, okay, that's what I'm saying. Like, everything that he's been doing doesn't totally add up. And then him somehow knowing, as you said before, how would he know Ayoshi was there at the dojo? My thing is that maybe Ayoshi Ayoshi, but Saito has like information, drills, tunnels that were following that made know of like where Ayoshi's been, because he brings up when he brings up when Ayoshi asks where Kenshin is, he tells him that he's in Kyoto. Like, why wasn't I told this information or whatever like that? And well, he didn't say that, but I know Saito followed that up with, I was going to tell you when he came out of the mountaintops. So Saito knew exactly like where Ayoshi was, apparently.
Right.
Like, again, it's one of those things like, what the heck is he doing? Nothing makes any sense. And so far, it doesn't seem like Ayoshi's gonna show up in Kyoto, or at least not yet, until given the right incentive. Or did he decide he was gonna go? I forgot. But after he saves Megumi, ironically, just in the nick of time, apparently.
So are you suggesting it's just poor writing?
No, I think he's doing this on purpose.
It's not poor writing, though.
No, I think Saito's doing this on purpose.
But how did he know he was there?
Again, like, he's a police officer. I mean, there's probably nothing he wouldn't know. And I think Saito's like the top police officer too, so he's probably a chief or something like that. So he's probably got his own like little network of people out there. I mean, there's not even just enough. I mean, yeah, he knew he was in the dojo, but he also knew that apparently Ayoshi had been training in the mountains for months now, and was gonna go after him in the mountains to tell him everything was going on. It's also possible that maybe Saito didn't exactly know that Yoshi was there, and probably had gotten word that Yoshi had moved, and was like, "Huh, I wonder where he went." And like, he made a guess that led him straight to him. Or again, he could have been following Megumi. I mean, we know he's good at telling people.
Possible.
With the police.
I don't understand. It's possible he tailed Megumi, but why would he bother?
Because maybe it would lead him eventually to, maybe he believes she'd be a lead to Ayoshi in the off chance. There's no one else to tail. I mean, Yayako went off to do his own thing, and he wouldn't tail the restaurant people.
He's just really bored.
I don't know why he's still in Tokyo. I mean, he went back to Tokyo to get Sanosuke and Yahiko, and that worked along with Kaoru. Even though he told them that he didn't want them to go. But to me, like you telling them that just made them want to go even harder. To me, it just seemed like he knew that people him being disapproving of them going would make them want to go anyway. Like I believe Saito's smarter than that. I don't think he was doing things pointlessly. He may have been trying to recruit like Ayoshi for a while now, but he knew he wasn't going to be able to get him easily. Because I mean, Shishio is after him too. We find later on in the episode. Or he could have been following Ayoshi for all this, for all this matter. Maybe he found him, and he caught sight of him as he walked into Tokyo. I mean, Ayoshi is an imposing man, and on top of that, there is that sword band, so he'd stick out like a sword thumb. I didn't mean that. Jeez.
I wanted to see them fight.
But him and Ayoshi and Saito,
Yeah.
there's probably a chance they'll fight. I mean, it's clear Ayoshi doesn't like him either.
Seems like the right thing to do.
I mean, I suspect that I mean, their encounter here, which by the way, they're the same height, I'm just not noticing that. But it makes sense to me. Like it's possible they could fight at some point. Maybe Saito approaches him at some point and says, "Hey, I'm gonna drag you to Kyoto if I have to." It's like I like to see you try, and then they get into a fight.
They're about even. It'd be a really cool fight.
When Megumi even chastises him about telling him about where Kyoto, where Kenshin is, like he says, "I didn't say anything," almost as if he was in the background at some point, still listening to all this.
Right.
He doesn't even make it seem like he would have like if he hadn't come along, if I didn't talk. This means he had been in the background for some reason. That makes me wonder: do the police have the ability to open up doors? Because the job of police have changed over the years too, anyway. So
I think if anything, like he could pick locks.
like, speaking of
Which
people
doesn't
being,
make sense to me. Is like, why would he bother picking locks if he could just jump over the wall?
maybe Karo didn't lock the door. That's a
Well,
simpler explanation.
Now we're getting really mundane.
Listen, she wanted to go after her lover. She didn't have time to lock the door. I don't know how you even lock the door. That's another thing. How do you lock a door in like this type of Japan? This isn't like the one where there's like keyholes and everything like that. I don't know how you lock a door in like post like westernization Japan.
I think they have keys and doors, like with keyholes.
Yeah, I don't buy it. All the things in the world I don't. That's what I don't buy. Yeah, I know. But speaking of people being followed, what?
If you say so.
Speaking of the things that of like things happening, apparently Saito had been followed. Which now I'm thinking about that. I wonder if Saito knew he was back there. Yeah, Saito does not. Something about Saito's off. I don't know what it is. What's he doing back in What's he doing back in Tokyo? And still there too. On top of that, he didn't. After Ayoshi walked up, he didn't leave. He still sat there talking to Megumi. He didn't have to answer any of her questions. He just walked off. After that, Ayushi walks off, and then apparently we have these four monks in the woods who apparently mugged some woman for food. Now they're all like, I guess, enjoying food on graves of on the graves of the dead Oniwaban tribe, who I completely all of them. I forgot all of them died apparently. That
I
information.
missed that detail. They were eating on top of graves.
Yeah, those rocks were graves.
I didn't realize that.
Because one of the things that like Shishio talks, not Shishio, but one of the things that Yoshi talks about, like, is he's standing right in front of them. He's like, I should get flowers for you event like sooner rather than later. Those are graves.
Wow.
I also like how they're all four monks, but they all look very different from each other.
Not very different, but they've all got their own look.
It's like it's just strange. Just like I meant to look them up to see. No, I tried looking them up and I couldn't find anything in history about. Wait, hold up. You try now. There's probably nothing about them anywhere, or if they're based off anything. Really? This is the time you decide to update Google? Apparently Google's being updated.
Google is being updated.
Yeah, on my phone, Google's being updated. Okay, now let's try again.
Wow.
Huh. So, well, I found some monks, but these are like, their names are Chinese, so they're called like the four eminent monks of the Wan Li era, or Wan Lai era.
Oh, so they really are a historical figure.
They're all four monks. I don't know if these guys are based off of them. With the four eminent monks of the Wan Li era, first of four prominent monks known to the Wan Li era, 1573 to 1620. They were well known for their ecumenism, arguing for the compatibility of Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism, but emphasizing the superiority of Buddhism over the latter two. They were Hanshan Dequin. I think these aren't. It's possible maybe these guys drew inspiration from them, but I don't think these are direct. Because those guys aren't. Those guys aren't Chinese, are they?
I mean, I don't know what they are. They assume they're Japanese.
And this is like westernization in Japan. This is like these guys were around. At least the guys I looked up, these guys were around earlier than these guys were. But the four monks apparently like that last word Abu Kuma is referring to a place in Japan. Or places. Like there's a river That's like the Abu Kuma River, Abu Kama Highlands. There's some limestone caves in Fukushima, Japan. That Abu Kumado. There's a railroad line. Apparently there was a Japanese cruiser. Huh, wait a minute. Okay, now I found something about warrior monks. Maybe these guys, maybe this is what they're referring to. They're referred to as Soe? Soe? I think is how you pronounce it. Butchering all this. Uh, okay, let me. I wonder if I can get a look at their weapons really quick. And they all look really goofy, I'll say that much. There's an axe. The battle axe, I think that's a regular hatchet there. Yeah, this looks close enough to what they're wearing. They're not wearing with the hood on their head like they're wearing here. Apparently, they apparently use a lot of weapons. Because maybe this is what they're based off. I'm guessing very loosely.
Somewhat derivative.
I would say probably really, really, really. I don't. And maybe there was like a point in history, like maybe there were four brothers, maybe or something like that, or four people, warrior monks, but they're not really remembered all that well. Kind of like in history over here, like there's people who would get named, but not much is really known about them other than their name. That's probably what that's about. All right. But yeah, like Ayoshi kind of gets confronted by these people, and apparently Shishio wants to talk with him, and Ayoshi's like, he can come to me. I'm not gonna go to him. Typical anime. Which is kind of funny too, because apparently Shishio was in the woods somewhere, and apparently they could have just told him that he was actually on their land. You can go meet him right now. That's later after like Shisho's. I mean, Ayoshi's like dodging their attacks kind of effortlessly, and then actually, which
Never
is,
get discouraged.
huh?
They never get discouraged. They're like, "Aha, can't just dodge this attack," and he dodges it, and they're like, "Well, he surely won't dodge this attack."
I mean, they probably because they probably think he only has one weapon because he's only carrying a giant sword, which
Yeah, they're
apparently
like,
only
"Oh my
appears to
God,
be a
he has
giant
a
sword.
sword and a dagger! Run!"
I mean, Ayoshi's really proficient though, and really deadly, as we learn later on. He chops them all up in the sushi bites.
Yeah, he definitely makes like sashimi out of them.
And then like the guy who's been apparently following him in the background comes out finally, and he's like, "You didn't need to do all that." And then he's like, "I don't want to meet a guy who sends out fodder to see how good I am." I was like, "Dang." He's like, geez, he sussed that out really fast.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they really wanted him to meet Shisho, and then he's like he's gonna leave. Like apparently the invitation is still out there to meet Shisho. So
And then he just ends it with, "If you ever want to, you're welcome."
essentially, yeah.
And then
Meanwhile,
he can't make him do it. Threats aren't going to work, so I guess it makes sense.
apparently Shisho is actually in Tokyo somewhere in Japan. Apparently, and apparently Shisho didn't. I mean, Ayoshi didn't know that apparently. And then, like, as he's drinking, as Shisho's over here drinking sake, apparently, I think that's what he's drinking. And then he bring up. Sorry, 1 minute. Bots, gotta get rid of them. Uh, but yeah, Shisho's drinking sake, and then like the guy who I forgot his name. Well, I guess the one his like the guy that's been following everybody around's name later at some point. He was like he brings up the battle side him and going to meet Kenshin, and he's like, I should probably go meet him since he is my superior and whatnot. I was like, man, they really hang on to that hierarchy like until they die, don't they? Meanwhile, this woman is like on his shoulder, feeding him sake as he's burnt, red lips and everything, bandages everywhere. Yeah, Ayoshi, yeah, at those rocks, it's like if I were to put flowers on your graves, he literally calls them out as graves.
I just missed the reference. That was all.
We go back to Kenshin, who is apparently walking a really long distance and walks through a town and he gets called cheap or broke because he doesn't have a lot of money on him. From like the lady who's like at the hotel. Again, women like I guess this is just part of the whole anime and where this time period is. But geez, they really like to women can call out dudes who don't have money. I was like, geez, how you seeing through my pants pockets? Like I'm not flashing my wallet. And then Kenshin is like he's been told like it's gonna get dark if you keep walking that direction soon, and he's like I'll be fine. He ends up camping. Essentially, he ends up camping and thinking about all the people he left behind. He had an image of Megumi looking mad, Sonosuke, and Yahiko looking like an evil little monkey. Jeez, what is with that face? But like Kenshin's like like yeah they have the right to hate me. I was like you could have just told them to come along.
Well, he doesn't want to get them killed or
Yeah, yet he goes and
have them
faces
used as a
her.
weapon against him,
Hmm?
or used as a weapon against him.
That's true, but I mean, it's not like they're gonna. Woman Kyra was gonna, let him go. Apparently, until they got involved. But he goes and tells her goodbye, but no one else. It's like, jeez. He knows that hurt her based on when he was walking away. He remembers her crying. And as Kenshin is like over at his fire in the middle of the woods, he overhears some commotion in the back, and then we see a girl in a woman in a cloak. Well, somebody who assumes a woman in a cloak with these bandits who apparently like you got the money right, and they're like yeah we got the money right here, and then she's like perfect, and she takes off the hood, and apparently she's a 16-year-old girl, bandit apparently. I misremembered that it's early. I called her a Kanochi, but apparently she's a bandit. But she uses kunai. I'm very confused. But apparently she's really good at fighting, or at least keeping low level bandits off of her. Because she takes out a couple of the apparently yakuza. We find out those were yakuza she took out. Takes their money. Kenshin shows up. He's like, Huh, what a world. Didn't expect to see this. And he takes the money. She tries to hit him in the face, and then he doesn't really move. He's like, I wouldn't feel anything from a lightweight. And all of a sudden, he just has the money that was in her pocket somehow. I don't know how he did that. I feel like that constitutes like not wanted touching, but we're not gonna get into that. Um, he takes. I'm sorry I had to because he was just like, where did he? How did he have the time to feel her? What in the world happened there? He has the money and she's upset, and then she tries to chase him down.
I just love that you turn it to a case of assault.
It could be considered a case of assault. He had to. I don't even want to use the word feel up. He had to touch her to be able to figure out where she was hiding the money. I'm just saying, like there's a lot of things that can be assumed there. But he takes the money and then she tries to attack him with a kunai, and then he grabs her cloak that apparently she had put down on the ground, that apparently Kenshin happened to be right in front of, and to block the kunai. And then she's like, "Ah, you damaged my cloak." It's like, "Oh, sorry, that was instinct." Then she tries to take his sword, only to find out that the sword is a reverse blade, which means it's useless. But she tries to take it anyway because she feels like somebody would buy it. He ends up giving her the last bit of money that he had to his name to her, and then she goes on the whole like, "Oh, you're really broke, aren't you?" I'm like, "This up a female and money in anime?" I'm sorry. It's one of those things that it just consistently happens. It's not a random thing. It consistently happens. I don't get it, but whatever. But but then she's still upset because she still wants the money that she took from the yakuza. Apparently, Kenshin ends up talking to her as he's like returning the money, and apparently because like nobody apparently found out they were missing money. He jumps the house, goes inside, puts the money back in, and he walks out. Tells her, you probably shouldn't be stealing from people like that because they're usually associated with the yakuza. And the moment he says it, two guys run out like, "There she is! There's the woman who's robbed us." So I was like, "Where the heck were you?" They get into a look. Well, you almost get into a tussle, but Kenshin's like, "I don't got time for this. I don't want to get involved in anybody," and does one sword swipe, to the bridge, and the bridge breaks, which is freaking amazing. We find out apparently he knows how to do this because he's done this before back when he was
They
a
make a big
Batosai.
deal out of they make a big deal out of the bridge breaking with like it lights up in all these different spots before it finally crumbles down into pieces.
Now, apparently he's done this before though. He's done this when he was younger. He had to deal with bridge fights. So I was like, huh, okay then. You have the ability to do that. Good to know. But But then like the girl who I guess I already heard her, Miso, I think that's how you pronounce her name, Miso. She ends up like talking about part of the reason why she's taking money from bandits is because she needs to get money to go back to Kyoto. Apparently, where Kenshin is going, he doesn't even bring this up for whatever really weird reason. Um, but like she was trying to get to Kyoto because she left her grandfather there to go chase down rumors of the Oniwaban tribe or group, running around. She's been, keeping up with rumors, and every time she hears one, she bolts out the door to go to look into it. And every time, apparently, she comes back with nothing. And she tells this to Kenshin, and and it rest of the word Ayoshi, and the Kenshin's like, "What?" And she's staring it back at him like, "What? You know something?" And that's where the episode ends. And I'm like, "Yep, there goes. I knew she had a connection to him, just didn't know what. I remember this information from a long time ago, but I couldn't place it. Now I can place it now. But yeah, we finally got a new character, and
It's the
she's
only one we're gonna get.
maybe, I don't know. You never know.
Well, she's the only one that appears in the intro.
That is true. I don't know. I really don't remember much. I remember the only thing I really remember almost vividly is how important Shishio is, and that's about it. I have some ideas about Sonosuke a little bit, but not really 100%. Um, Yaiko, maybe. and then Kaoru is drawn to blank. So that's where I'm at. Zilch. Um, but yeah, maybe the only new character. Oh, I guess speaking of which, I guess on that whole train of this show, I ended up finding out apparently, like where he ended the manga years ago, he had plans to go further than he did, but he didn't do it because he said that the direction this, it was going beyond the part of the story where where he ended it. He said it was gonna get darker and it was gonna stray away from the Shonen Jump roots. I'm guessing is what he said. So it's like he had plans. I'm a little disappointed that we never got a chance. At least I never got a chance to see those plans. So I guess it is what it is. Maybe with a revival, maybe he'll do it. I mean, a lot of anime have been going that route of shows that were back in the early '90s, or late '90s, early 2000s, kind of coming back. We got the Dragon Ball revival. Naruto's still going. Oh, speaking of actual, I didn't bring this up, and I meant to do this when we were talking about My Hero Academia. La Brava ends up broadcasting the fight with All Might. I completely forgot about that information. But I only bring it up because she goes like ham on trying to broadcast the anime. I mean, broadcast the fight. That the one of the two officers kind of decides to just, I don't know why they put this in there, but it was just funny to me because only people who watch Bleach would catch it. Um, he says, "What are you doing? Don't go like broadcasting the fight and saying in acting like you're activating a Bankai." I thought that was pretty funny because like Bankai is a technique in the anime called Bleach, so there's some overlap there. I guess the mangaka is clearly saying that I'm well aware of Bleach. But I don't know. To me, it was just kind of funny to me. They just throw a random word in there just to be funny.
That's cool.
I guess with that, we'll be coming back next week. But next week will just be one show for the time being until December when, well,
Because you moved to Vox Machina.
I apologize in advance. I got other shows I'm trying to watch. I'm just trying to add the Dan into my watch rotation. I guess I'll be able to do that now. Uh,
Listeners, I don't know if you watched two podcasts ago or so, but he was like, "I want you to be involved in choosing what we review." Here I am, Vox Machina.
I didn't know you were suggesting that. But again, I'm not even like even caught up. I mentioned this before.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you're involved. I mean, I think are you the reason why we're reviewing Dragon Prince? I think you are. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, you introduced me to Dragon Prince. I'd never heard of it before you.
Hmm. Well, you'd be the reason I think we're reviewing. At least I hope we will be reviewing Deadpool Wolverine. I know you say you wanted to do that.
The movie when it comes out?
Yeah.
Sure. If you're serious about it.
I mean, I can. I mean, I've watched the first two and enjoyed them. Well, actually, that's not really a Deadpool movie. That's just a movie. Maybe one day we'll get Deadpool 3. Who knows?
Isn't Deadpool versus Wolverine like basically Deadpool 3?
I don't think it is. From my understanding, at least from the directors, they said it's not Deadpool 3. Because I remember seeing stuff about it like as it was coming out, and one of the things like Deadpool and Wolverine is not Deadpool 3.
Hmm.
For whatever that's worth. Okay, I guess with that, with that silence, we're gonna end it here, folks. We'll come back for Ruroni Kingdom next week, and we'll play things by ear. Then, talk to you guys then.